Fighty Radio.
Welcome to this brand new edition of 5-Round MMA. My name is Alex Ramirez. Alongside me is my co-host, Albert Zita. And we're joined on the phone by our special correspondent, Jason Hendrick from Those Leprechauns podcast, and, of course, our East Coast correspondent, Guillermo Zita. Gentlemen, how's it going?
Good, man.
Great.
We're doing well.
Got a lot to talk about. We are in the post-UFC 205 era. We are now in the era of King McGregor, the first ever fighter to hold two titles consecutively. He's now the featherweight champion of the UFC and also the lightweight champion of the UFC. We're going to break that down and just get a reaction to that. Talk about the draw between Stephen Thompson and Tyron Woodley. Talk about Yoel Romero, Miesha Tate retiring, Joanna Jędrzejczyk and Carolina Kolowakics, whatever, the Joanna and Carolina and the rest and stuff like that. So
Joanna K.
Gentlemen, let's get started. We have no time to waste. UFC 205. Let's get right to the main event. Conor McGregor knocks out or TKOs Eddie Alvarez in the second round after just kind of messing with them. I don't think even Conor McGregor even broke a sweat during the whole fight. Just your thoughts and reaction to McGregor making history here and just how did the fight break down for you guys? Were you guys in shock at how easy it seemed for McGregor to just defeat Alvarez?
I was in shock. I didn't think it was going to be that easy for Conor McGregor.
He wasn't shocked at all.
Jason, you weren't shocked. Guillermo was shocked. Albert, you shocked?
No, I was. The only reason I was shocked was how easy he made it seem and how there wasn't really much of a fight. That's what shocked me, not necessarily the outcome. Like I saw Conor winning.
I know. Even for me, even though I've seen McGregor knock out Jose Aldo with one punch, I'm still kind of hesitant. I guess his power is there, but also Eddie Alvarez has been known to not be knocked down pretty easy in his fights. But this wasn't even a fight, really. I'm curious to see how much offense Alvarez even got off in this fight stats.
Yeah, he was toying with him the whole time. I mean, he wasn't even. I think if he really was trying his hardest, I think he would have put it away early in the first round. Because even when he had him knocked down, he didn't really go in for the kills that much, as much as he has in the past. So I think he was toying with him a little bit just to show that he could finish it whenever he wanted to.
Hey, Guillermo, after the post-fight speech, McGregor said Alvarez doesn't belong in there with me. He's a great fighter, great warrior, but physically attributes, he doesn't belong with me. So is McGregor really that big for the lightweight division, or can he match up with these guys who are on his size? Or because that's the first time I ever heard Eddie Alvarez being, he's too small for the lightweight division.
I mean, you clearly saw that during the fight. I mean, I honestly, that's part of the reason I was going towards Eddie Alvarez was because, he's fought at, Conor McGregor fought at 145, and I feel like the 155 was not too big for Conor McGregor, but watching the actual face-off and watching the fight, Conor looked like the bigger guy. Yeah. I mean, I think his body frame in general fits well between 170 and 145. So going forward, I mean, don't discredit Conor McGregor's size. I think I overlooked that a little bit, and but I won't do that again.
Yeah, so we see the game plan was for McGregor just to knock him out, basically use his power to his advantage. But I'm trying to wrap my head around what the heck was Eddie Alvarez thinking. Albert, what was his game? This guy's a grinder. He's known for going against the fence, taking guys down. But did he want to make a point to knock out McGregor? Did that hurt him?
I think it's funny because I think Conor McGregor is the best when the other opponent, exchanges with them as far as smack talking. Yeah. And I think that puts it in their head that they just want to shut up Conor McGregor, just like Jose Aldo, they almost just want to get in a good punch or show him that he, for some reason, he's not the caliber of fighter that everyone tries him out, makes him out to believe. Yeah. And for that reason, they try to stand up a lot more. Even Chad Mendes, I think, stood a little bit too more than he should have. And you see what happens. And I think that just plays into Conor McGregor's game. But Eddie Alvarez said it after the fight that, he admits that he did not go like the game plan that they thought of. He was drawn into the boxing. Yeah. That wasn't the game plan, was to box with Conor. So obviously he knew that he also did wrong.
So McGregor had this fight one before it even started, right, guys?
Yeah, the crazy thing of mind games, how much it plays to the advantage of Conor McGregor.
Well, just go back to the original fight announcement when Conor said, "Who the fuck is this guy?" and that whole thing. I mean, dude, you could tell Eddie Alvarez was out of his league right then and there. The weigh-in, same thing, and then even on the way to the cage, I mean, Conor looked supremely confident, and Alvarez, to me, he looked out of his element. I think he just realized he bit off more than he could chew.
You know, actually, I kind of disagree. I actually thought Alvarez held his own in the smack talk area. You know, being from Philly, he obviously has a gift of gab. I was surprised how much he was able to hold his own, but it was in the octagon when he completely lost it, I thought.
And plus, come on, Conor's a black belt in smack talking. I would say Eddie Alvarez is like a purple belt, dog.
Yeah, but still, it's still pretty up there.
But it's still up there, yeah. It ain't no white belt.
Yeah, but obviously he said that McGregor's smack talk was just that much better than when he got into the octagon. That, hey, you know what, I'm just going to try and throw with this guy. And that first knockdown was just scary. I felt it was just nasty. He just completely... Yeah, McGregor's power is for real. So, I mean, two division champion. Obviously, the game plan now is just take him down, guys, if you try to beat this guy.
Well,
either way, you're screwed.
No, I think there's a couple guys that don't match up stylistically with Conor McGregor, and Conor McGregor might have a long night.
Yeah.
But it's crazy. It's funny, before we even got on there, some of the talk, and I know I get a lot of heat for it, but I mean, like, Conor McGregor has always picked his opponents, if you really think about it.
That's true.
It's never been like this guy has earned it, but
say that for the second round, Guillermo, because you are speaking ridiculous
actually,
right now.
We're gonna you open mechanic worms right now, but we're gonna stop here in round number 1. We're gonna go back and later on in the show we're gonna talk about what's next for McGregor and his legacy and all that stuff like that, the championship round. So people, if you guys are listening, make sure not to go anywhere. We're gonna take a small break and come back with round number 2 and talk about the welterweight championship bout between Tyron Woodley and Stephen Thompson. But before we do that, I want to talk about one of our great sponsors in 5 Rounds Clothing. 5 Rounds Clothing offers a unique collection of MMA apparel and accessories. They incorporate the culture, style, and attitude of MMA in their clothing line. They're constantly evolving and improving to become the best fightwear company possible in the MMA world. They make the fighter and fight fan look good. So check out their t-shirts, hoodies, hats, and other great accessories at 5rounds.clothing and on Twitter at 5roundswear and on Instagram at 5rounds_. Our great brothers from up north, Canadian-based company, 5 Rounds. Get it on. So don't go anywhere. Round number 2 is coming up. All right, the show continues with round number 2. Let's talk about the welterweight championship bout that co-main event UFC 205 between Tyron Woodley and Stephen Thompson. I was actually going for Wonder Boy in this fight, and I actually thought he won this fight 3 rounds to 2, but it was a draw. First, it was called a split decision victory for Tyron Woodley. Then, kind of a little bit of chaos ensued, and Bruce Buffer, the first time, looked like he didn't know what he was doing because he had to be called back to the judges' table, and it was ruled a majority draw. Tyron Woodley looked like he was sick in the stomach. Actually, I was surprised how happy Wonder Boy looked. And my theory is here too, guys. I think Wonder Boy is happy with the outcome because, one, he probably gets another payday to at least headline a pay-per-view, and second, I think he knows he can beat Tyron Woodley, guys. Do you guys agree with that?
I don't agree with it. I think the real MVP of that whole situation was Joe Rogan for not being scared to stand right there in the pocket with T-Wood to let him know that he didn't actually win.
It's the same scorecard, guys. He kept saying it's the same score. But no, I think because Stephen Thompson was like happy. Let's do it again. I'm happy. I think he survived that 4th round. I think he knows he could beat Woodley as long as he just works on his ground game more. I think Tyron Woodley looked like he was defeated anyways. I was kind of disappointed. I'm a fan of Woodley, but this performance was not what I was expecting at all.
Even when because Tyron Woodley did win that first round. Yeah. Even that first round he won, I still don't think it was enough to show that his ground game can keep Wonder Boy completely down there. I think in the 4th round he just got caught, but you saw Wonder Boy catch Tyron Woodley a lot more, and Wonder Boy said so himself. He did hesitate a lot in the striking aspect just because he knew that Tyron Woodley was very explosive, stuff like that. But I think he's more confident now, knowing that he could overwhelm him with the strikes.
Yeah, so Guillermo, we have the situation here now too with possible rematch, but interesting fighter sent a tweet out after the result. Damian Maia said, hey, you know what? The great fight. Congrats to both of them, but it's my turn now. So if the UFC, do you run this back again with Thompson Woodley too, or do you get Maia a shot in there, kind of freshen things up and see who wins that one?
You know what? I give the shot to Damian Maia. I know you guys are going to kind of be against that, but I felt if you score round by round, I felt Wonder Boy Thompson won the fight. But if you talk about damage, look at Wonder Boy's face after the fight. Yeah. I mean, like, the power is there for Tyron Woodley. He could have ended the fight twice in the 1st round and in the 4th round. The explosiveness is there. Had he been caught and finished, Wonder Boy, there would be no debate that Woodley would have, devastatedly won that fight. So I think given that, you got to give Damian Maia his opportunity. This guy's been on the hot streak himself. So I think a fresh matchup should serve well, and see if Wonderboy Thompson is still at that level. Does this affect him mentally?
Well, if we go by history, most draws do end up in a automatic rematch. Like obviously the Frankie Edgar, Greg Maynard bout, the Bigfoot Silva and Mark Hunt.
After a while,
yeah, they had to run that one back. So most draws ultimately end up with the rematch. And even though I think Damian Maia deserves the next shot, I really want them to run this one back so we have a clear winner. And luckily for Damian Maia, I think he should enter the same card in case someone gets hurt or whatever, but to stay active. But people forget Damian Maia is a hard sell. Yeah, he's
title
yeah, but I mean as far as like to the people, like can you really? I think Wonderboy's easier to sell than Damian Maia.
That's a cool nickname. Hey Jason, do you see this rematch going the same way with Wonderboy? Doing his point style fighting, and Tyron Woodley's not looking kind of not know what to do with him.
Yeah, I mean, I became an instant Wonderboy fan. I mean, I was never the biggest fan. I was kind of like, yeah, whatever. But I became a huge fan of the way he survived that onslaught by Woodley. I mean, he had that guillotine in so tight. But going back to your point, I don't think there's any way they don't do a rematch. I mean, Damian Maia may be deserving, but so is Wonderboy of a rematch. The question really is going to be, is Woodley going to want to take a rematch? Because as much as I like Woodley, I feel like his face, his body language after, unlike Wonderboy, who was excited to have gotten a draw. Yeah. I think Woodley was excited to have survived, to be honest.
I don't want to. So go ahead, Romero. Go ahead.
I'm gonna say something, but I know it's probably for later rounds. But the real dark horse here is Conor McGregor at the welterweight belt, because if he has a say in this, wouldn't you guys think that would be like the biggest fight?
And you know what's funny too? When I first like heard the whole Tyron Woodley Conor McGregor, I was like, come on, man. These welterweights are walking around easily, like up in the 200s, close to that. There's no way. But then when you see him square off with Tyron Woodley, it doesn't seem that ridiculous anymore.
Yeah.
Because he is the taller, lengthier fighter, and it's not far fetched to say Tyron Woodley versus Conor McGregor.
Yeah. Also, this round's coming in too now. I want to point something out between that Albert said during UFC 205 we were watching it, and when Tyron Woodley had that deep neck crank on Wonderboy, Albert was completely calm. He's like, no, don't worry. Wonderboy can hold his breath for 5 minutes. I was like, how do you know this? He kept saying, he's like, trust me. I've seen on YouTube, he hold his breath for 4 to 5 minutes. He's good. And I'm like, what are you talking about? The nonsense. And then little Wonderboy pops his head out, is fine. And
I told you guys. The guy trains in holding his breath.
Does he really train to hold his breath?
I've seen videos of him holding his breath, and it's for a pretty long time.
Looks like a drunk Albert during the fight. The smartest man in the room. So that's it for round number 2. We're going to come back and talk about the rest of UFC 205. But before we do that, I want to talk about one of our great sponsors at Rockin Green Eco-Friendly Cleaning Products. Rockin Green is an award-winning manufacturer of eco-friendly cleaning products designed to make cleaning easier and greener. Rockin Green products are the best laundry detergents and all natural cleaners because they are man-made. They're made with biodegradable plant-based ingredients. They're spectic and gray water safe, and they're never tested on animals. Visit rockingreen.com for more information and shop all their great lines of products, and follow them on Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter. So coming up round number 3, the rest of UFC 205. All right, time for round number 3. We're talking about the rest of UFC 205. I kind of want to start with the women's strawweight belt between Joanna Jędrzejczyk and Joanna J, Carolina K. Great technical bout. Wasn't as exciting as I wanted it to be. Joanna just continues her reign of dominance. I don't really see anybody. I think the UFC is hoping to groom Paige Van Sant just to get like one milk one championship bout out of her, right?
I think we lost Jason and Guillermo.
Yeah.
Oh, okay. But anyways, it's a difficult situation, I think. Well, say the question again.
Well, I mean, because Joanna's dominant, she's not getting stopped. I mean, for the strawweight division, do you think the UFC is hoping to groom Paige Van Sant to get maybe one championship pay-per-view bout out of her before Joanna beats her up?
Beats her one more time. The problem is she's not ready.
Yeah.
Sorry, because I lost my train of thought. But yeah, she's not ready at all. And the hard part is like you look at that division. And you really, it's almost like the flyweights. You're gonna have to draw from people that are not familiar to the MMA fans, and it's gonna be a guy that has played, or girls, I should say, has like a couple already losses under their belt. But you just can't throw Paige Van Zandt like right. I don't know. It's not ready yet.
Yeah, the reign
you need at least a year or two.
Joanna continues. Guillermo, you wanted to point out something else in UFC 205, right?
Yeah, well, basically in 205, something to go into effect of this is how the women's MMA needs other weight classes, to be honest with you. You saw Miesha Tate retire, but I mean, like, if you had another weight classes between 145 and 115, some of these women can reinvent themselves, and you can even do a super fight for Joanna Jay at 125 with maybe a 125 fighter emerging, or 130. What was it, 130 or something like that?
Yeah.
But that was my point. I was like, it's kind of unfair for Miesha Tate. To me, I don't think she should retire. I think sometimes, you got to go back. It's like the whole Anthony Pettis thing. I mean, like, this guy was champion at 155, yet he gets to reinvent himself at 145. You don't have that opportunity.
Guillermo, you're jumping weight classes on us. Yeah, let's stick.
It was just funny how, like, Miesha Tate is like, oh yeah, the future is now, but she's 30 years old and Raquel Pennington's 28. So it's like, it's time for her. Like, she's only 2 years younger than you. It's not like the future thing. I don't know. I think, to me, Miesha Tate seemed kind of unmotivated these last couple fights. I don't know why. Maybe she. It just seems like she's kind of going through the motions. Maybe she's lost a little passion. Maybe she needs to step away for a little bit and then maybe come back. Like Guillermo said, maybe she does need like a different, change of scenery. Maybe a weight class would have done that for her, but she can't do that. I mean, it's unfortunate. And the UFC's adamant. No, only two. We only have enough for two. There's not enough stars anywhere. Not enough stars at 125. Not enough stars at 145. So just 135, 115 for everybody else. Jason, you have any other highlights from? Oh, go ahead.
Well, I think with Miesha, it's kind of like a lot of the fighters or a lot of the athletes in big sports that have other avenues that they can be successful in. I think she realizes that she can make money modeling, training, acting, whatever.
Yeah.
She doesn't need to sit in there and get beat up. I think she truly just doesn't have the passion. I mean, I know Memo wants her to still fight because he likes to look at her in there, but I just don't think she has. I don't think she has the passion anymore. Just like you said, the last two fights when she got beat by Nunes. I mean, obviously Nunes is a freak, but she just doesn't look like she wants to do it anymore. She's like you said, going through the motions. She comes out to freaking a Katy Perry song, dude. Come on.
Yeah.
Which is good.
And come on, guys. She was just currently champion this year.
Yeah.
Earlier this year, and we're talking about that she's not motivated. She can't compete at this level. Like, come on.
Well, I think
that's kind of unfair.
We're on agreement that Brian Carey has some to blame for this, right? Little part.
I think it's a big part.
I think everybody can agree. Even online, you guys all agree.
I feel jumping around training camps and going, it has a lot to do with it.
So let's. I want to jump down to the middleweight bout between Chris Weidman and Yoel Romero real quick. Romero didn't do any favors for himself to
gain fans.
Although the stuff against Michael Bisping, that kind of won me back. But his little, I swore after he defeated Chris Weidman, I thought he was doing the Nazi march around the octagon. Was that just me, guys? Is that what it looked like to you?
It looked very similar.
No. There's a lot of marches that look like that. That's how a lot of other countries that are less civilized march.
Well, your home country is Cuba, so how do they march in Cuba, Jason?
Well, I mean, Cubans have a very distinct march. That's what that was. So it definitely wasn't a freaking Nazi march.
Yeah, then it was. I was like, oh my god. But then, yeah, you're right. A lot of guys did march that way. But man, he did not do himself any favors at all. I think he kind of won the crowd back a little bit when he was making fun of Michael Bisping. But Chris Weidman, this is 2 consecutive losses, 2 very bad losses in a row.
Can I touch on that a little bit?
Yeah, is he being exposed for what he is, Guillermo? Like just a guy who got lucky, or is he just legit?
What? When he went on his winless undefeated streak, if you guys remember, he got a title shot after defeating Mark Munoz, but everybody was questioning who has Chris Weidman really beat.
Yeah.
So I felt like they were protecting him along the way, and he got fortunate with the whole Anderson Silva, the 2 fights, if you really think about it.
I don't know. He beat Vito Belfort and he beat Lyoto Machida as champion, so.
Both guys were kind of old, though.
That's true.
Yeah. So I felt, well, just going through that whole momentum, I felt like he was sheltered. I thought he was protected. Now he has to face these elite middleweights. I mean, you're talking about if you've already faced Luke Rockhold, he got destroyed. Yoel Romero destroyed him. Can you imagine he still has Jacare there because now. What?
You guys are saying he destroyed him? He got a lucky freaking knee while he was going in for a takedown. That's being destroyed?
I don't know. That was a vicious.
Even the fight before, going into the 3rd round, I didn't really see Weidman really doing too much damage to Romero anyways.
Yeah, exactly. But I didn't see much out of Chris Weidman.
Yeah, it's kind of a stale fight before that happened. But I don't know. I'm just kind of thinking, We're going over here now in this round, but hopefully Weidman bounces back. But that division's pretty stacked. He needs to go down like to out of the top 10, Guillermo, for his next opponent. You think?
I don't say bottom 10. I just say within the top 10, but not lower than 5.
The top
definitely.
5. Obviously, we talk about Frankie Edgar won against Jeremy Stevens. I mean, Frankie's consistent. The train's still going. Train's on the tracks. It's not picking up any traction, but for Frankie, I mean, it's not derailed yet. Khabib Nurmagomedov came back. He's still undefeated. Dominated Michael Johnson.
Did you? He called out Conor McGregor, which is the smartest thing that guy has ever done.
Yeah, so we're gonna touch on that in the next round after this break here. So don't go anywhere. We'll be right back after the championship rounds. But before we do that, I want to talk about FightBook MMA. FightBook MMA is a great partners of ours. They are the only place where you can find real combat sports news from all over the world. A website you can trust with accurate news from MMA, kickboxing, and boxing from local promotions to all the major ones like UFC, Bellator, World Series of Fighting, RFA, Titan, King of the Cage, Golden Boy Productions. If you're Golden Boy Promotions, if you're a boxing fan, all that good stuff. They're on Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter, and at FightBookMMA.com. That's a great line of podcasts as well. We're part of that. That's on the podcast page. So I'll go ahead and visit FightBookMMA.com, a great news source. So don't go anywhere. We're in the championship rounds now. Come back, talk about the McGregor legacy and a bunch of other stuff. So don't go anywhere. All right, welcome back. Now time to enter the championship. This is going to be a long show, I think, Albert. Time for the championship rounds now. Let's get this started now. Round number 4. So, Conor McGregor is now the first ever man in the UFC history to hold 2 belts at the same time. He's now the featherweight champion, lightweight champion. And I'm saying here, I don't think it's really history, guys. I think it's because he was allowed the opportunity to make this happen. I think there are other fighters who could have done it. Anthony Pettis probably could have done it. Jose Aldo probably could have done it. Mighty Mouse, but these guys were never given the opportunity.
I think Anderson Silva could have probably done it back in the day.
Silva could have done it. BJ Penn, he tried to do it, but I think
GSP.
If he would have done it earlier, but these guys were never afforded the opportunity because they didn't want to say, no, we have one champion per division. But yet Conor McGregor comes along. He's brash. He's cocky. He's arrogant. He's a showman. He's great. He's great on the microphone. Great for the sport. And you know what? Let's do it. But I think this whole I'm the best ever, people who like he's the greatest fighter ever, I think need to calm down on that. I think, like Albert said, he's a businessman. At this time of transition, the UFC needs a star for the fans to keep faith in this selling off period. And I think it's just kind of opportunity.
The best thing that could have happened to Conor McGregor is GSP quitting and Anderson Silva taking a dive.
Yeah. So that's my thoughts, guys. What do you guys think?
Like, he's the greatest UFC fighter of all time because
brainwashing 101.
What are you
dude.
drinking?
He's able to use what he's given and capitalize on it. Whether he's the greatest.
That does not make him the greatest. That does not make him the greatest.
Okay, so I think inside the octagon, he's not, but outside the octagon, I think McGregor is what he's laying down right now. Fighters,
Conor McGregor is the best businessman.
Yeah, what he's doing now, guys. Fighters are going to benefit 10, 15, 20 years from now. Just like I'm going to make an analogy, just like Scott Hall and Kevin Nash did for professional wrestling, how they jumped from WWE to WCW and got guaranteed contracts. And like guys just say, hey, we don't want to thank you guys for leaving because now we have guaranteed contracts. So who knows what McGregor's doing now, what kind of leverage he's creating for the fighter, where 10 years from now, that's going to be a staple for every fighter contract. But this whole business where he's the best fighter ever, I don't think so.
People forget another guy that's very similar to Conor McGregor was Muhammad Ali. And a lot of people want to throw the greatest ever of all time. But if you talk to actual people with knowledge of boxing, they would never tell you that Muhammad Ali was the greatest of all time. Mike Tyson was way better than he was. There's a lot of more boxers way better than Muhammad Ali. But the fact that his antics and the way he approached the game is what gives him that appearance that he is the greatest of all time. And I think that's
the stuff he did outside.
Exactly. And I think that's what happens with Conor McGregor. I think
his
that's where
yeah.
Well, Alex.
Go.
Alex.
Yeah.
I was gonna say, Alex, just to piggyback off you. I mean, like you're seeing Conor McGregor benefit, doing something great for all the fighters. I mean, he's breaking the establishment if you really think about it. If you guys heard this post conference after the fight, he said that if they want him to continue in MMA and to for his next fight, you're talking about ownership of the company.
A little
Oh, yeah,
pie.
to say that, we're going to talk about the next round, too. But I want to talk about this whole, like, the UFC just trying to manipulate the people, saying this is the greatest. For me, it started with the Nate Diaz fight. He went up and, like.
trying to manipulate you, Alex.
I know, but he went up, like, Nate, he went up and fought 2 weight classes, a giant of a man, and Nate Diaz.
He was giant.
And Nate Diaz, like, dude, I'm a lightweight, homie. I'm not a welterweight, but they're making me seem like I'm this giant guy. But they're building the legend of Conor McGregor. And it's obvious it's working. He's living up to it. But this whole fact that, to me, what happened to the fact that to be a champion, you got to defend the title? It still bugs me that he has not defended the 145 belt at all. And I don't think he'll probably go a long time before defending the 155 belt, actually, to tell you the truth. What happened to this whole thing? Like, you had to be considered a champion, you have to defend it at least once. Am I wrong in that?
No, you're not wrong.
That used to be the same.
You're 100%. I don't think he should be the champ at 145. I don't think we'll ever see Conor McGregor fight at 145 ever again.
And just to put it into perspective, it's almost a full year since he's gotten the 145 belt and not defended it.
Okay, so he's won 2 big-time matchups, the featherweight title and the lightweight championship. But to consider him the class of Anderson Silva, a John Jones, a Ronda Rousey, GSP, a Mighty Mouse, a Dominic Cruz, Jose Aldo, Joanna Jay, a Renan Barão, champions who were able to consistently put on top performances and consistently make their opponents look bad.
2 of the people you just mentioned, he beat the piss out of. He freaking beat the hell out of Jose Aldo. He'd do it again. I mean, what do you guys want from this guy? He's beating everybody that's put in front of him. He beat Nate Diaz after the first fight where he took it lightly.
I will say that the spectacular thing about Conor McGregor
and
not a hater.
that
people back when Anderson Silva was going on his run, people were more impressed on how he was winning than anything, that how easy he made it look. And I think Conor shows that. Sometimes he shows it, he makes it seem too easy.
Yeah.
Like Eddie Alvarez, it wasn't even a fight. And I think that adds to it. It's like, it's hard not to get spellbound by this guy, because he literally went in there like Anderson Silva and clearly won.
Yeah.
There wasn't even a fight in every shot landed.
Yeah. I'm saying now, okay, you got the 2 belts. Now let's start putting some ground underneath what you're talking about. Now he has to go on a consistent level where he's knocking guys out left and right or defending the title left and right for him to be considered a great champion. I'm just saying, we got spoiled. This sport is still very young, and we got pretty spoiled with Anderson Silva and like the GSP. Even like Tito Ortiz and Chuck Liddell. I mean, these are guys they beat everybody in front of them. Now, like, you got to start your reign now. I want him to start his championship reign, whichever one, whether it be featherweight or lightweight, and let's get a reign of dominance up in here. That's just me, anyways.
He's going to. I'm telling you. And I'm hoping that when he does, you guys will finally give him deserved, because I don't think Ferguson or Khabib have anything for him.
You're crazy. You're speaking out of your mind.
Look at how easily he handled Eddie Alvarez with world-class wrestling. He didn't even have to try, and he beat his ass.
Did you not see earlier what Khabib did to Michael Johnson? Can you imagine?
But Guillermo, did you see Michael Johnson land some nice hits on Khabib before Khabib had to go for the takedown?
And what did Khabib say after the fight? He said that nobody's ever rocked him like Michael Johnson, and it will never happen again. I believe him. I think once he gets into his wrestling, no one's gonna get him off of him. So it's crazy what Frankie Edgar can do in his wrestling compared to Khabib, because Khabib, once he gets you down, there is no standing up.
I know.
So you're comparing Michael Johnson striking to Conor McGregor?
Yeah, come on, Guillermo.
Yes. Actually, I would love to see Michael Johnson destroy Conor McGregor just because he said that right now.
Yeah.
I think Michael Johnson has a really good chance. I think Michael Johnson really has a good chance against Conor McGregor, to be honest with you, on the stand-up.
So before we end this round, let's break down his options real quick. So he has, what, two contenders in lightweight. Tony Ferguson and Khabib.
Yep.
And then featherweight, which I doubt he'll probably even go back down there ever again. You got guys like Frankie Edgar
and Max Holloway
and Anthony Pettis now. Might as well just drop the title and make that. You guys make the Anthony Pettis versus Max Holloway a title fight now, and then UFC 207, right, in December.
Well, you still have Jose Aldo.
Yeah, who's the interim title? Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, there's Jose and Max is only the true fighters that right there, because one, the Max Holloway went to decision, and a lot of people want to see him, especially since Max Holloway got better. But Frankie Edgar ruined his chances by losing to Jose Aldo, so there's technically only 2 contenders down there. We're way over now.
Yeah, we're way over now. We're gonna continue this round number 5, so don't go anywhere. So we're continuing this stuff. We'll take a small break. Don't worry. All right, time for the 5th and final round. So I want to kind of jump on what one thing McGregor said post-fight press conference, is that the UFC wants him to continue. He has 2 belts. For his next fight, he wants a stake in the ownership in the UFC. He's all celebrities are buying it. Conan Bryan has a piece of it. Ben Affleck owns a piece of it. I think Tom Brady owns a piece of the UFC. He's like, I want a piece of the UFC now. That's one thing I want in my contract negotiations. Do you guys see the new ownership in the UFC even giving in to this demand? Because this is pretty ridiculous. If he gets a shot, a piece of it, doesn't Ronda Rousey deserve a piece of the pie? Doesn't
he's opening a can of worms, to be honest with you, because now we're going more into like a boxing type of industry where the fighters call the shots instead of the actual.
And I don't see nothing wrong with that. Like
I love it.
I think Conor will be the first can do it and usher it, because all the fighters are arguing about a fighters union.
Yep.
You don't need a fighters union if you're picking how much you're getting paid.
Yeah.
And I think Conor can lead the way by saying, "Look, listen, I'm not gonna sign another contract. I'm gonna just put on my own fights.
I'm gonna take my name. And because you guys know my name. Jason, do you see this ushering a new era into like the boxing style of MMA? Like this again, I'm all for. If Conor McGregor is leading the fight of like where fighters get more benefits, more pay, I'm all for it, and he's doing it now. But do you see the UFC even giving in a little bit, or do you see one day I'm out of here, I'm starting my own promotion, McGregor Promotions?
No, I think they'll definitely have to cave in because I mean, realistically, he's their main draw. New ownership, I don't think they have the prideful thing of the Fertitas or anything. So I think if that's something that can be worked out to where it doesn't get over manipulated by some of the other fighters that maybe may not be on Conor's level as far as bringing in money, then why not? I mean, like you said, it's going to help the fighters. Maybe some of these guys will. Maybe Ronda Rousey, Anna Nunez. Some of the Demetrius Johnson, some of the guys that are clearly top upper echelon have that opportunity. And why the heck wouldn't you want to give that to him? I mean,
obviously, you also run the risk of, McGregor has a stake in the only fighter who have a stake in the UFC. They're not allowed anybody else because on, quote unquote, McGregor's level. These guys are all going to bolt for other organizations. Then you're left with the Conor McGregor and a bunch of a skeleton of the UFC trying to hold itself together on the fight, on the back of McGregor.
I was going to say, because the UFC does have some leeway in this, because if he's not going to, how can he be champion at 145 if he's not going to defend it? If I'm the UFC, okay, I'll give you a little bit more money or more stake in this, but you got to release that 145 belt. I'm stripping you of it because you're not going to defend it. How right now he's holding hostage 3 divisions if you think about it. Now we got to see, honestly, if he goes the Tyron Woodley route. He's going to end up Tony Ferguson and what's his name, Khabib, facing off each other to only one fighter. But then what if he doesn't even say, you know what? I don't think Tony Ferguson deserves my a payday from me. It's kind of unfair, like you said. So I think the UFC does have some type of backing power to counter Conor McGregor's claim sometimes.
Albert, what do you think about this?
To tell you the truth,
they can't give McGregor a piece of the pie. They cannot.
It's a slippery slope. Because if he gets a pie and then so and so's gonna ask for one, and they're already adjusted. I think what's gonna end up happening more is, like I told you, I think he's gonna opt out and then just do his own bouts. But to be honest, if they do give him a percentage, oh man, I can already hear. If all the fighters are already complaining now about his purse, imagine him owning a percentage of the company.
Yeah, or like the unfair distribution of the Reebok deals, and some are sponsored, some are not sponsored. I mean, what's to stop all these guys from walking away?
But to say he doesn't deserve it, I think that's wrong. I think in a way he does.
Pay him as much.
But that's true too.
Just pay him. Just pay him. You know what?
X amount.
Here you go. $40 million Floyd Mayweather money. He won't complain about ownership if you're getting paid $40 million, X amount for if he's knocking guys out in the second round. So
yeah, I'm pretty sure if you offer him Floyd Mayweather money for bouts, there's no reason he's gonna ask.
Yeah, but I kind of see him. You know what? If the UFC's smart enough, or I do see this guy, McGregor Promotions or Notorious Promotions, might as well. This guy, he's gonna be. He could sell a fight. He could sell somebody else's fight probably. And this guy, like I said, if he's ushering a new era for fighters, I'm all for it. This is why I'm a big McGregor fan. All the stuff he does outside the octagon, I love it. He's a showman. He's the gift of gab, all that stuff. And if he's getting more stuff in favor for the fighters, then I'm all for it, man. Because I think we've seen too much of the UFC, taking control of these fighters and not really fair for everybody. So.
What I think is crazy is maybe the previous owner saw this in the writing. I mean, I think Bellator, that these stars are eventually going to get to that point.
Yeah.
And the Bellator is jumping on this. I mean, think about it. Bellator is so close to doing something like stealing all the fighters and stealing the viewership from the UFC. They're so close.
I really feel that both companies, Bellator and UFC, will benefit without having their fighters under contract, to tell you the truth.
Yeah? Or they just bounce around?
Just keep bouncing around.
I don't know. Jason, what do you think?
Yeah, I mean, that's a good point about the former owners maybe seeing the writing on the wall, but I definitely don't personally feel like Bellator is that close because, yeah, they're getting some of these guys, but they still do some of the wacky stuff that I think is going to keep them back.
You don't want to see Henderson? You don't want to see Benson versus Michael Chandler?
No, I do. That's what I'm saying. I think some of the upper echelon, and then, of course, my boy Fernando Gonzalez is going to beat the piss out of Michael Page.
Yeah.
But I think the upper echelon fights are good, but some of the lower cards, I feel like they do some freak show stuff still, like Ken Shamrock versus Kimbo Slice, or what was that other dude that lost to Kimbo?
Dada 5,000.
Now, that kind of stuff, I think, keeps them kind of on that minor league type level. Like the UFC is still like Major League Baseball, Angels, whatever, and then Bellator's like.
Oh yeah, because Angels is so big league.
Well, just to piggy off that, Jason, I don't know if you saw some of the recent UFC releases. Immediately signed with Bellator, so that the undercard of Bellator is gonna get better.
Unless you're John Finch or Jake Shields, you go to World Series of Fighting. I think that's it for this edition. We are winding down now. We're got a heat exchange. Good show, guys. I want to thank Jason for calling in. And but before we do that, hey Jason, I wanted you to mention one of our members of our FiveRoundMMA family. One of our great partners, Redemption Martial Arts, the Anti-Bullying Awareness Foundation that we've been working on for a few years now. We're considered family with them. That's how much they help us out, and vice versa. And Jason, can you just please touch up on a tragedy that struck the RMA family and hit our family as well?
Yeah, absolutely. So last week I got a text from my good friend Mark Shabaker with RMA. Redemption Martial Arts. They live out in Arizona. Mark's an incredible guy. He served our country in the military, and he's just a really classy guy. He came out and did an anti-bullying speech for me at an event I had at work a couple years ago, and we remained very close. His daughter is a high schooler who is very passionate about, basically just, standing up to bullies. And they're just a great family. And unfortunately, early last week, Mark and Haley and their youngest son lost their mother, Brooke, Mark's wife. So very tough time for the family. They're really going through a tough time. But, Mark made a comment the other day, and he said that he feels like God has been preparing him for this his whole life to raise his kids without his wife. So he clearly has a good, solid foundation on what needs to happen now, and I hope that everybody listening and us as teammates of theirs can get behind them and help them with whatever they might need. And
I think from here, I know from FiveRoundMMA, our deepest thoughts and condolences go to Mark and his family. And like I said, he's a great guy. This anti-bullying stuff is amazing. He's helping so many people and letting people, he's so open to this, people joining this team and his organization. He wants to spread it out. And like I said, we're shocked to hear about that, and our hearts go out to him. But if you want more information about this great organization, please visit redemptionmartialarts.com and get all information there. But it's pretty hard. But again, guys, I want to thank you guys for coming in. Jason, where can people hear your podcast at, Dos Leprechauns?
Yeah, if you can check out our podcast, me and my son, 13-year-old son, Nathan, Leprechaun Nate. Follow us on Twitter at Dos Leprechauns. And also now we're doing most of our podcasts on Facebook Live to encourage interaction on the podcast. And it turned out pretty well. We're averaging over about 1,500 views per episode. So, check us out on Facebook Live. We do it every other Sunday morning about 9 a.m.
Cool. And I want people to follow us on Twitter and Instagram at FiveRoundMMA. Like us on Facebook, subscribe to us on iTunes, YouTube, and Podomatic. And please visit FiveRoundMMA.com. I want to thank everybody for listening. I want to thank Jason for calling in, Guillermo for calling in from the East Coast in Orlando. Albert, what do you got?
Just thanks everybody for listening.
Guillermo.
Oh, yeah, the cream of the crop.
You are now listening to FRMMA Radio.